Hello. Okay, so I'm gonna get right into it. Today the training is on preparation. Now, for preparation, I just want to say it's super important as we go into each of you teaching your own classes, and it ties into retention. The more prepared that you are, the more retention you're going to receive from your students, the more results you're going to receive. And it's so important for each of us as teachers to be prepared when we come to teach our class. Okay, now I'm going to be sending over this Google Doc so that you have it and you can always refer back to it. And I'm going to be sending over at the end an example of a um, of a full lesson plan, like what it looks like to prepare for the class, and I'm going to go over that at the end of this training. Please remember that these trainings are super important. Now, don't sit here to type up all this stuff for, just for no reason. It's so that you can implement these things and remain, you know, um, updated on different strategies and different keys to get the results that you want from your students. I know that it can be very frustrating at times when you feel like they're not grasping a concept. I'm telling you right now, if they're not grasping a concept, you need to change your approach to preparation. You need to change your approach to your lesson plans. You need to change your approach to your execution to your lesson plans. And execution is a totally different training that we're gonna do when we meet on Zoom, that we have scheduled. But preparation is more so something you could read up on and just start to implement now in your classes so that by the time September comes and everybody's back, you're good to go and you have practiced what works and what doesn't work. All right. One thing about me is that I have experience in knowing what works and what doesn't work when I prepare for my classes. All right. So I'm going to go over that. I hope you guys enjoy this training. Please don't do this training while you're driving in the car. Don't do this training while you're listening to music or watching TV. Do this when you have time to sit down and actually listen to what I'm saying, because that is the way it's going to be the most helpful to you. Block out a time to sit and do this training. It's so important and it's going to make a world of a difference to you and what you're doing in your class. All right, so let's start it off. What does it mean to be prepared? It means ready for use, ready to deal with something, okay? So your preparation is everything that could potentially happen in the class, not just what you have planned. Preparation is being ready for whatever it is that we're about to do, okay? We have to remember that our jobs as teachers are completely different from our jobs as dancers or performers. This is something that you need to instill in your mind right now. When you come to class, you are no longer the dancer, you are no longer the performer. You are an observer and you are a critic, okay, of what your students are doing. You are also the person that is going to give them the tools to learn everything that they need to know. All right. So when you come to class as a dancer, you're just trying to get information. You're just trying to make it through the class and just learn as much as you can. That's not your job as a teacher. Your job as a teacher is to provide the tools necessary to get those jobs done for the dancers. If you don't provide the right tools and have the right preparation and progress and strategies in place, you will not see results. I'm telling you right now, you will get frustrated and you will want to say, I don't want to do this. But if you prepare correctly, you will get fast results and effective results in every class that you teach. And this goes for choreography, this goes for running rehearsals, this goes for all of that. You can't just walk in and think they're going to understand it just from you talking. Not going to happen. All right? Why is it important to be prepared for your students? Less downtime. What does that mean? When you're unprepared, you're going to take a lot of pauses. You're going to have to sit and think a lot. You're going to be like stumbling over your words, and you're going to lose the credibility that you have when it comes to your students. Most kids, when they walk into a dance studio at the first time, especially if they're between the ages of 8 and 9, 8 and 10, I want to say, they think they know what they're doing already. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how it goes. They're going to think that they know more than you. So when you're stumbling over your words and you can't think about what we're going to do next and you can't explain it and you're like a little on the fence about it, then they will be on the fence about you in your class. Okay? So you have to be prepared for the kid who's going to question you. You have to be prepared for a student to ask you a question that has nothing to do with what you might even be teaching. You have to be prepared for everything. All right? You have to be prepared for your class so that your students are not standing there doing nothing when they should be dancing and fully engaged in the class the whole class. When you walk into my classroom, no kids are sitting, no kids are waiting too long. None of that is going on. You got to be prepared to give them nonstop information from the moment they walk in to the moment they leave. No downtime, no waiting time, no let me figure it out time, none of that. All right? You need to be able to predict what is going to happen in your class and at the studio. This will keep you prepared for anything. So it's not just about your class, it's being prepared for what could happen in the studio. And we'll go more into that. All right? It is so important that as a teacher, you are always prepared when you come to teach. Preparedness to teach is not the same as preparedness for taking a class, obviously, because you're the one holding the class. So you can't be acting like a student when you're the one in charge of the class. You can't be focused on what you're doing with your body, and you can't be focused on, how you look in the mirror when you go to class. It's about your students. You're watching them the whole time. All right? Um, in order to be prepared for your class, you need to set a clear goal for your class each day that leads up to the end. So, this ties into the curriculum process, right? We talk about it. What are the things that the students need to be learning during the year, right? So we're working on that right now, coming up with the curriculum for each class. That needs to be figured out because when you have the curriculum to go by, it makes your lesson planning so much easier. You just have to look at the curriculum and put it into a class. Now, the goal, the clear goal. When you're making your lesson plan, you must make a goal for yourself. What did they learn by the end of this class? That's it. Because the goal is going to set you up for every single exercise that you're going to do, for every combination you're going to do, any routines that you do. The goal, all right? The goal can change. It could be a step, it could be a piece of choreography, it could be so many different things. It could be for them to engage with each other, to learn about a certain history or whatever that you have planned in that curriculum for that day. But you got to set a goal for each class, all right? Not just for the end of the year. So when you set up the goal for the class, you have to think about what's going to happen at the end of the season. All right? So you have to think future wise. Understand that most of your work as a teacher and choreographer happens outside the classroom. Okay? So the hard work is before you walk in the room. When you walk in the room, that should be the easy part. The hard work comes during preparing for class. All right? Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the goals, all right? And just give you a quick example. Let's say I'm teaching my ballet class, all right? And they're beginners and they don't necessarily have that much experience, okay? Let's say this is day 1, matter of fact. This is day 1 of beginner ballet class. The first thing that I'm going to do is have a goal for them to understand what the heck they're taking right now. What is ballet? I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what it looks like. You have to assume that they know absolutely nothing. Do not assume that new students have a clue. You need to assume that they know nothing. And if they know nothing, you'll be prepared for that. If they know something, they'll have an easy breezy day. It's a win-win. But when you prepare and assume that they know things, that's when you're going to lose students, and that's when you're going to have students come in and not like the class. All right? So the goal is to understand what ballet is all about. It's about um, holding yourself with the proper posture. It's about, courting. It's about, like, I could go into so many different things about what it's about. So you got to narrow it down to what it is, and then by the end of the class, they should be able to tell you what it's about. Boom. That's how you start your goal, and that's how you meet your goal by the end of the class. And then by the next class, then we could get more into specific positions. Then we could get into, how to stand and all that stuff. You could get into all the details as time goes on, but you can't just throw it all out the first day and think you're going to get results. It's not going to happen that way. I'm telling you right now. All right? Be reasonable, start from the beginning, and really, really be able to tell what level your students are on by the first few minutes of class. All right. So I know that's sounds like a whole lot, but we're going to go more into that as we go on. All right. So when you prepare for your class, you need to have the end result of your season etched in the back of your head. You should think of the following. What did my students learn this season? What are they prepared to perform or demonstrate? Have they grown from start to finish? Okay. This is like a reiteration of what I was just saying. So, when I start the season with my students, I already have an idea. I'm not saying I have everything planned out, because nothing ever really goes the way you plan anyway. But I have an idea of what I want to do for the end of the year showcase. Okay? I consider who's in my class. I consider what do they already know and what they don't know. And I think, what can I possibly have them build up to by June? All right? And I have to take into consideration, like I said, the people that's in the class and what other classes they're in, right? We talked about that. So you also have to consider, are they in company? Are they taking more than one class? Are they learning certain things in other classes? I need to know all that stuff, because that's going to give me a realistic goal that I'm going to set for myself for June. All right? So you can't think, oh, like I'm just going to do this day by day and see where it leads me. No, 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 no. You need to have an idea of what you're going to be doing for that showcase in June. That's going to set you up for all the weeks that are going to come ahead. All right? So, you just need to understand that every week leading up to June is a week pushing forward towards that goal. They might not understand the goal. Nobody else might not understand the goal, but you got to know the goal, right? And then on top of that, you have to take into consideration all the things that come as roadblocks in between, like vacations, like special activities that we're doing for the week, like birthday parties or whatever, like all this other stuff that comes with the schedule of the year. You have to consider that as well. So you have to consider being prepared for those days that you're not going to get the stuff done that you probably need to. All right? So you have to be able to gamble and sacrifice and give in different areas, in different weeks, so that you're prepared still by June. All right? That is the most challenging part about it. Time. Making sure I have enough time to get this stuff done. And I'm telling you right now, it's not a lot of time. It goes by super fast. All right? Next. This is how you come up with a clear understanding of what needs to be taught, how long it needs to be practiced, when to move on, and when to combine everything together. I like to break the year down into like 3 parts. Okay? The first part is like the September to I want to say November. Okay, that's the first part. That's the learning part. That's where they're going to learn the absolute most. And it sucks when kids come after, but that's okay. It's going to happen. That's the part that I think is the most crucial part. That's where they're going to learn the most terminology. That's where we're going to have most of their exams. That's where they're going to be just soaking up all this information. It's very similar to school. Then you got November, December, which is the holidays. They're going to be out a lot. And during this time, we usually do some type of performance, right? So every little tiny thing that they learned from those weeks leading up to the performance, that is the things you're going to use for your performance, right? Then the third part is preparation for the showcase. I usually start my showcase routines end of January, beginning of February. If you can start it sooner, good, great for you. But I also think when they come back from their break, they need a refresher course of everything that they learned from September to November. So I usually use January to like refresh them and get them back on board, because in January we also get a lot of new students. We get students who just like, oh, my New Year's resolution is to do dance, whatever. Parent says, oh, it's a new year, you need to do an activity. They sign them up for dance. So you need that time to kind of refresh and add on new stuff. If you're following me so far, you're getting the idea that I don't have a lot of time to be teaching stuff. You don't. That's why you can't waste a practice. You can't waste any weeks trying to figure out what I'm going to do while you're in front of the kids. You got to know it now. You got to start preparing now, because it's going to blow by. All right? And I'm telling you, this is super, super, super important. All right? Now, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, like, I'm a little overwhelmed, because where do I start? That's okay. I'm gonna tell you exactly how to start. Have an idea of what you want your choreography to look like. Be creative, right? You have an idea. Oh, I want to do this really beautiful song that I was listening to, and I really think it'll be a nice dance, and I can picture who I want to be in it, and whatever. Fine. Just be reasonable of all the steps that you're thinking of, and what this dance looks like, right? And what this dance feels like. And make sure that it's, age appropriate and it's level appropriate. Fine. You're going to take that dream of yours and you're going to put it into your curriculum, and you're going to put it into the stuff that you're going to make for class for every week. And by the end of the year, you should be able to have that great routine that you've been wanting to do. Okay? Is it difficult? Is it going to be hard to do? Yes. Is it going to take a lot of work? Yes. But you got to be able to be open-minded to how you need to prepare yourself for this, okay? Moving on. Have an idea of what kind of music you want your students to dance to, okay? Create a playlist. This is so important, all right? And I can't stress this enough. When you come to class, you can't be fishing and trying to figure out what music you're going to play. You need to know what music is going to be played for that class. You need to just have a playlist set in general, okay? And when I say a playlist, I mean, like, I'm not talking about you're on YouTube and you're looking for stuff, or you have like this one video that's like one long song that you're just using for the whole class. No, you need different music that can be matched to different routines. Yes? That's what you need. One playlist each class. Not one playlist for all your classes. Whatever class you're teaching, different playlists. Separate that music so it's easy for you to find and you're not wasting time scrolling and searching. All right? Again, we're trying to eliminate downtime. All right? Create a playlist of music your students will enjoy based on their age and interest. You must always stay relevant and update your music. Super, super important, okay? Super important that you always update music, that you're always keeping up with the times. You want to have music that represents the past, present, maybe even the future if you can't find it, whatever. Okay? You need to think about, what tools am I going to use? Any tools you're going to use for the class should be prepared and set before your class starts. This is why it's so important that you show up 15 minutes earlier for your class. If your students are showing up before you, you're late. Okay? That's a big problem. That's a red flag for me. You need to be there before those kids get there. All right. I can think of a million reasons why. First thing is, you guys know we share a space. So there could be another teacher in the class before you. Yeah? If that teacher's in the class before you need to knock on that door and get what you need to get and set up what you need to get, especially if they're taking longer to get out of class. All right? You need to just do it because you're not going to have time for you to be able to take 10 minutes out of class to set up whatever thing you have planned, a table, a desk, whatever. You need to have it set up when the kids get there. All right? Everything needs to be ready to use. All right? Any issues that arise, if a parent has to talk to you before class, you need to be there. You need to be prepared for that because so many parents come thinking that they're going to catch you 15 minutes before class starts. Some parents think they're going to catch you 1 minute before class starts. You need to be there already. Your presence needs to be there. You cannot be coming in 5 minutes before your class starts. Bad preparation. All right? Bad preparation. Next, you need to make sure that you're using the right tools. Make sure that you're using tools that are appropriate to benefiting them. All right? Don't just use random stuff that you think will be fun to use and there's no purpose behind it. Use things that make sense. Think about your class, what they need. When they have a need, fill that need. Don't just do things just because you thought it was a good idea. If you do stuff like that, then you're never going to have success here. You got to do stuff for the kids. What's going to benefit them from being this way and getting them to be this way? Yes? Those are the type of tools you need. All right? Think about what's necessary, not what's trendy. Okay, every week of class needs to be approached differently based on the following. Who's in the classroom? Do you know them? Do you know what their capabilities they have? What inspires them? You have to figure them out. It's not the other way around. You can't have, like, this is super um, important because we're, like I said, we're working with children. We're not working with seasoned trained professionals. All right? When you're working with seasoned trained professionals, the inspiration is already there. They already are hungry for it. They already want what they want. When you're working with children, they're still trying to find themselves, right? So the best way that we can help them find themselves is learn about them. What do they like? What kind of music do they listen to? What kind of apps do they use? What kind of games do they play? What kind of outfits do they like to wear? You got to figure out them. You have to figure them out. They're not there to figure you out. Because if they're trying to figure you out, they're going to be like, I don't want to be here. All right? When you show up with something that interests them and something that's going to grasp them, that's going to captivate them, they're going to want to keep coming and keep coming and keep coming and just love being with you. All right? That's why most of my students at the end of class, they just like, oh, Miss Teresa, I want to give you all. Thank you so much, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because at the end of the day, everything that I structured was for their best interest, was suited for them. It was created for them. It wasn't created for me. It wasn't created with my agenda and what I want to do. Because if we planned what I wanted to do, we would be taking a nap. So you gotta plan for them. What do they like? And then you go from there. Now you're not gonna be able to fill everybody's need. You're not gonna be able to do everything everybody wants. But you gotta be able to come up with stuff and compromise with your students. All right? And prepare for it. How can I tie in the fact that I don't know, Sally likes stickers? All right? How can I tie that into my lesson? Okay, every time you do a blah 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 blah, you get a sticker. She's gonna want to do it all, whatever that exercise is. She's gonna want to do it all the time, right? And it's gonna make her better at the end. And then eventually she won't need the sticker because she'll be more inspired to do the dance step than to receive the reward. You get what I'm saying? That's what happens when you come up with really good ideas for your class. Don't show up to your class thinking they're just gonna take it like it's, a professional workshop. It's not gonna happen that way. All right? You have to think about how much experience do they have? Have they danced? Have they learned this? All those things matter when you're preparing for your lesson. All right? You need to learn how to prepare for a sub. Okay. The best way to prepare for a sub is to speak with the teacher. Get their lesson plan and tweak it. There you go. If you're subbing for me, I will always write down everything that I need to be done for that class, so that I'm not wasting a class. I'm not wasting any time. I'm not like, oh, they're just gonna have a free day today. No, 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 no. I'm gonna write them just like when you're in school. Teacher's out, sub comes in, they read the letter from the teacher, and then they say, this is what you got to do today. Same thing. All right, you're still gonna teach. You're still gonna be able to engage with them, but you're already gonna have the plan in motion. It's really easy to sub somebody's class. If that teacher does not give you a lesson plan, that's a problem. You need to have that lesson plan before you even agree to sub the class. All right? How do you prepare a sub? You write your lesson plan as if you were there. Yeah? How to prepare for a performance. You got to prepare for your performance way in advance. Way in advance. February to June is very short. There's all types of vacations and there's all types of days off. It's not a lot of time. People think it is a lot. Oh, it's only March. We got till June. Oh, it's only April. We got till June. And then next thing you know, it's the day of performance. Always plan in advance. Okay? Very simple. You should be thinking about next year's showcase right now. Think about it right now. The more you think about it, the more you prepare for it, the easier it'll be when June rolls around. I have learned from experience. I have been the most prepared that I could be, and it's still not what I want it to be. So if you are not preparing at all, it's going to be a disaster. How to prepare for a trial. This is super important. If a student comes in and they're doing a trial, you should have a system put in place. All right? We're going to talk more about trials later because we're going to be getting a lot of them. And I want you all to know exactly what we're going to do when it comes to them. But for right now, we're going to say, we're going to make the class enjoyable for them. All right? There you go. We're going to be implementing like a whole buddy system when it comes to trials so that they have somebody who's been in the class that can help them throughout the class. And you don't have to change up your lesson plan too much. All right? Trials can show up at any time. So you always have to be prepared for them. Somebody can show up the last day of class and say, I want to do a trial. We're not going to turn them away because we need students. So why would I say, no, you can't do a trial? Yes, you may do a trial. Absolutely. We're going to make it the best freaking day of dance that you've ever experienced. That's the type of energy that you got to come with. All right? Write it out. Remember, when you're preparing for class, you're also preparing for what if situations. And you are preparing the way you're going to explain things. Now, like I said, we're going to go over execution and how to teach certain things and how to get the kids engaged. But I will say the majority of execution comes from preparation, right? We have to have something to prepare in order to execute. So you need to be able to write down the things that you're going to say. You're not going to write down everything, but you're going to write down some of the things that you're actually going to say to the student so that they can understand the concept. I can't go in blindly talking about we're going to learn how to do a forte turn, and I can't even explain it. Okay? Can't explain it. So how the heck are they going to learn it if I can't explain it? You need to take the time to sit down and think about how you're going to explain it and write that down so that when you go to your notes during class, it's very easy for you to say, okay, we're going to start in 5th position. Then we're going to tendre to the side. Then we're going to go to 4th position, plie, carry the leg to the point, whatever the steps are. Okay? And as the steps grow, it gets more complicated. So you need to be able to write down and prepare exactly how you're going to teach things. And the good thing about that is that once you have an idea of who your class is, you already know the certain things that they're going to struggle with. You're going to already know certain things that they're probably not going to get right away. So you can write down, hey, such and such, I don't care, let me give an example of a name. Cadence really struggles with straightening her knees. And we're learning how to do PK turns. And we all know that PK turns, we gotta have straight knees. So I'm going to tell her, make sure you have straight knees before she even starts. I'm already jumping the gun of what is going to happen. That's peak level of preparedness. Not watch her do it a couple of times, know that she's probably going to do it, and then not say anything. No. Before we start, listen, hey, Cadence, sometimes you struggle with PK turns. Sometimes you struggle with straightening your knees. For these PK turns, I really want you to work on that. Okay, now you're giving her something to think about. That's how you teach effectively. Not watching them stumble and fall and do it completely wrong and say, stop, do it again, stop, do it again. No. We shouldn't be doing stop, do it again if you already prepared for what they're probably going to do wrong. So important. Because when they hear do it again and they hear you stop that music and then they have to do it again and do it again and do it again, that is beating into them that they're doing things wrong. You're beating into them that they're not doing it right and that they're not good at this. These are children we're working with. You have to be very, very mindful of the mentality that they have. Stop, no, do it again, restart, stop the music. I didn't come here for that. That's what they're thinking. I didn't come here for that. I came here to dance. So give them everything they need to know before they start. And you gotta write it down to remind yourself what could potentially take place when this class begins. Super important. All right? Super important. I'm going to pause this. This is going to be the part 1 of this video, and then we're going to get into these scenarios.